If you're unhappy in your career and you'd love to figure out how to pursue your passion and make that your job and your career and what you go do every day, then you're in the right place. A few years back, I did the same thing. I was in a job I didn't love, and I wanted to figure out what is my passion, what am I good at, and how can I make this a career? And so I did just that. And I left my job and I started my passion, and here I am 6 years later still doing what I love. Today we're gonna learn how to gain confidence in knowing your passion and what you're good at and transitioning into making that a career. Why are you here? Well, you're likely here because you too feel a discomfort in where you are. What you're doing isn't passionate. You're not giving it your all every day. You don't love what you do. You feel like there's more. There is more, and if you want there to be more, you can go get it. So we've got to figure out what I figured out. We've got to figure out what you're good at, what you're passionate in, and then we've got to create a plan to get there. So we're going to do all of those things today. And while I don't think you should jump ship every time you're discomforted, I do think you should listen to your inner self and your gut. When you feel like there's something different you should be doing and you're more passionate about, I think you should explore that. So I'm gonna talk to you today about how to figure that out and how to explore that in a healthy way, so you're not gonna completely tomorrow go, I'm quitting my job and I'm trying something new cold turkey. That's not what we are about. I'm gonna give you some guidelines and steps so that you can take this process with stride and you can be confident in what you choose and what you're going to do with it. You're in the right place. If money is not good enough and you need more than that to exist in your job, welcome to being human. So let's talk about it. You need to figure out your passion, okay? You need to figure out what you're good at, what comes naturally. And so there were 3 things I did to figure out what my passion was and what I possibly need to pursue. Okay, so the 3 things I did were, I asked my close friends what I'm good at. So I got the people in my inner circle and I asked them, hey, could you just share with me or write down 3 things you think I'm good at? And you know, there were things as simple as you're a good communicator, you're a good friend, you listen well, to, yeah, you're super OCD, you are very anal and clean about everything. Anything. Let them write down things to give you an idea of your natural strengths that you are good at, that other people can look at you and say, Jessica is good at this, or you are good at this. Secondly, think about what you would do and maybe what you do in your free time, maybe what is a hobby right now or just a side time if you didn't have to make money. So take a second and just really think about what are some things that I do in my off time that I don't even think about money-wise, but I just enjoy doing. Is it, you know, writing? Is it sketching? Is it getting coffee with my friends and connecting? Is it working out? Is it hobbies like creating little, you know, paper mache, what do you call those? Origami things. What do you like to do? What do you do naturally in your off time? And that's gonna help you lean in towards what your talents are as well. The third thing that I do is, once I do that, I write down everything in the area. So once I figure out, okay, and for me, people said the things I were good at was I was a good listener. I was a good listener and I gave good feedback. I had good conversations and I communicated well. Another thing was they felt that I was empathetic, that I could connect with them and communicate sentiments, and they felt open to share. I wrote down on my list of things that I would do without getting paid. I remember I wrote down 3 things. It was, I would work out, I would be able to go to the gym at any time and it would be awesome. I would travel, and then my third thing was I wanted to sit down and connect and grab coffee with people, with friends, with strangers. I just loved connecting. So those are my 3 things. If I didn't get paid, that's what I wanted to do. So this is what I was going off of. So if you wrote your list down and you're like, I don't know how to make a living out of this, okay, that's cool. We'll get there, don't worry. So I took those ideas and ideas from my friends And I started brainstorming what are occupations around those things. What are things with those character traits or those hobbies that are jobs, that are actual careers? Write it down. Write down anything and anything you can think of around those traits. So for me, with communication, with listening to people, I wrote down counselor, I wrote down, minister, I wrote down real estate agent, I wrote down, travel blogger, I wrote down a few other things. I wrote down a whole list of things, actually. The more you write down, obviously, the better. So take some time doing that. And at the end of the day, between the efforts of me writing stuff down with the things I'm good at and the things that my friends told me about, I narrowed it down to 2 things that seem like I could really put my passion towards. And that was being a real estate agent or being a personal trainer. Well, one of those ideas is associated with making money. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I actually did get my real estate license years back, and real estate agents do really well, and that's an easy path to success. And then the other one was a personal trainer, and I loved working out, but I had no clue about what it took to be a personal trainer. I knew I lived a healthy lifestyle, but that didn't give me an education to be able to help other people. And how would I find clients? How would I make a business out of this? And so that was terrifying. But the next step was I took those 2 ideas, and I also want you to think about your ultimate passion. So aside from finding the things you're good at, asking your friends what they see you naturally doing, I want you to also think about the why behind those things. So when I think about real estate or I think about working out, my why behind that is ultimately I like helping people. And I guess technically in sales, I help people, but it got lost in a lot of different things. And so I wanted a way where I could actually help people. And then when I really thought about it, I was like, I don't want to just help them. Helping you find a house could be fun. It would definitely be lucrative, but I don't think it's getting me to my ultimate why, which my why behind my ultimate why was I want to help people, but I want to help them be healthier. I want to help them learn and take tools and be with me to help me guide them for the long haul and help them live a healthier life from the inside out. Once you get that figured out and you figure out what your passions are, what your friends say about you, what you're good at naturally, your next step is to take your 2 ideas of things that you think you'll be the most compatible with and your passion lines up with, and you want to go and you want to interview people. You want to go use your network, and you want to take all of the resources around you that you can and educate yourself on what it looks like to go down that path. You want to write down a list of people around you, whether it's in your intermediate network or your larger scale friends of friends network. It could be anyone from someone you use their services for. Maybe if for me, for instance, if I was looking at being a personal trainer, I wrote down the trainers I knew, friends I knew who already started a personal training business, people who were already doing group fitness. I wrote down other female entrepreneurs. So it doesn't have to necessarily be someone who's doing exactly what you want to do, but maybe it's someone you look up to. For me, the girl who did my graphic design and my web design, she was a female entrepreneur. She started her own photography business. And so I wrote her down on my list, and I wanted to talk to her about what it looked like, what the steps look like. So you want to ask them 4 things specifically. Write these down. You want to ask them how they did it. So not just, how'd you do it, and sit back, but you want to say, what did it look like? What did that process look like from the time that you decided you want to start something new to the time that you actually did that? What did that in between look like? You want to ask them why they chose what they're doing and if they're still happy with it. You want to get their why behind it and see if you resonate with that, or if it makes sense to you, or if you want to make sure you do something different, of course. You want to ask any roadblocks, any lessons, any advice, because every entrepreneur, everybody who's been where you are, myself included, we're gonna run into some of the same stuff that you'll run into, and you'll run into something different. So everybody's gotta learn their own stuff, but the more you learn and the more resources you have, the more you've heard about things, the less you have to actually go through the same stuff. So you can educate yourself before you even take this jump to know how to prepare, to know how to form an LLC, what website to go to, what the costs are, the expectation of what the cost is, whether you need to create an LLC or you need to create an S Corp or a C Corp. You can learn all the steps. I remember talking to an entrepreneur, and she wasn't in the field I wanted to go into, and I remember just asking her, like, hey, I'm hoping to start a business here. What are the steps in creating an actual business? And she was like, oh yeah, by the way, you have to go to the Secretary of State. You've got to decide if you want an S Corp, an L Corp, an LLC. You can go to this website. It'll help explain some of the stuff. Your costs are approximately this. Oh, you need a web page. You can use these 3 different places to design your site. Here's the cost. You also need a domain name. That's going to be an additional cost. And so all these foundational pieces, they're not specific to your industry. These are just business how-tos in general. So you can learn all these things and not have to scour the internet aimlessly and go through all the bad information just by talking to your network. So ask them how they did it, how they got started, why they got started, why they chose what they're doing, any roadblocks, lessons, advice, and then ask them who else they think you should connect with. Let them know a little insight to your journey and what you're looking to do, and see if they have any other resources for you, whether it's just getting started or whether it's specific to your industry. Ask people for help, ask them for their story, but know that they're busy. Know that they are a professional as well, and they might not have time for you. Treat them to coffee, treat them to a lunch. Protect your budget, but also respect their time. Set a limit, set a 30-minute limit to where you get as much information as possible. Come prepared, write down questions you want to ask them, and make sure you make good use of their time, because it will definitely be worth your time. Okay, so now's the fun part. You've established you're unhappy where you're at. You've established that you've got a passion and a natural skill towards a few things, and you've thought a little bit more about what you could move forward doing and what new career path you could choose. So now you're in this place where you've got to take action, right? You can't get to where you're going if you stay where you are. So I've written down 8 steps for you to take to get from where you are all the way to making that jump. And these are gonna help you structure it, make it a little bit easier and a little bit more, I think they say, bite the elephant one bite at a time, so it's not as overwhelming. I think I butchered that, but you get what I'm saying. So first step, I would say, once you establish what you want to do, is find a website, use one of the, Squarespace or one of the other sites where you can create a website. You don't have to know HTML. You just have to follow directions and get some good photographs. You want to have photographs to put on there and good content, and you want to build a brand. So I would say you don't want just a website. You want to create a brand. So you want to start creating an Instagram feel. You want to think about what you want your company to represent, and you want to start creating that content online. So when you launch your business, it's not a, hey, cold turkey, by the way, this Facebook, this website, this Instagram literally started last week. You want this to be, okay, so this stuff has been established for a few months. There's a few months of good content, and you don't need to have, my business is open. So for me, I wasn't training clients. So I decided I wanted to move into personal training and fitness, but I didn't have clients. So what was I gonna put? I got photographs of me working out to put on my website. I got a logo made. I was starting to create a brand on Instagram. So what was I doing? I was looking at other Instagram accounts similar to what I wanted to do, seeing what they posted, getting ideas. I was posting motivational stuff when it comes to health, wellness, dieting, working out, tips, photographs of people working out, funny gym memes, anything that pertains to my industry that establishes me as a brand and a professional. Using blogs. So with fitness, you become certified. You have an ACE certification. So I would go to my ACE network and I would go to their blogs and I would find great content that was like, oh, this is interesting. So even without having clients, without me having a foundation or knowledge to share from my business, I was gonna start creating content to put out there that created value so that when I was an actual physical business, I would already have value online. So that's step one. Step two, you're gonna start having to do work in the field. So you're still working your job, your normal job that you don't love, but you're also gonna start working your new job. So what's the best way to gain experience and essentially, become a professional? Well, if it's required in your field, you can get a certification or you can go to school. And I was getting my certification, but I was taking 3 months to study for my certification. So during that 3 months, what I started to do to help get more knowledge and feel like I'm a professional in the industry, I started volunteering my time, okay? So any chance I saw for trainers to help or a group fitness or boot camp, I was going and I was helping. Whether I was helping run it or whether I was just going and participating, I was getting experience. I wanted to get as much experience as a volunteer or a participant as I could. So start to integrate yourself into your new field. Be available to go and volunteer, to go and take classes, to go and do what other people in your industry are doing, even if it means you're a client or you're a bystander and you're just paying attention to what it starts to look like. Step three, partnerships. I cannot express how important this is. So when I got started and I wasn't certified yet, I didn't have any actual clients, I started to develop partnerships. And so I would start to pay attention to people in my industry and I would say, okay, here's what I'm good at right now. And that could be, using my old profession, or that could be something else I'm good at. And I would say, okay, you run a boot camp. I'm not doing that yet, but I would love to partner with you and help you get the word out. So even if it's just social media that's your thing, be like, hey, I'd love to partner with you. Can I share your boot camp online and help you in any way? So you want to start to volunteer and you want to start to partner with people in the industry that you can learn from and that you can create synergy with, because co-branding is going to elevate your brand. It's going to give you a professional air, and it's going to also validate you as a person coming into this industry saying, hey, she's aligning herself with those people. I like their brand. I like what they do. I'm interested to see what she has to offer, or I'm interested to follow her, pay attention to her, even if it's on the journey. So build a brand and website, set up your social accounts, start to build those out. Also, part of that branding is involving yourself in the industry, volunteer, show up, co-partner, co-brand, find other people that are doing what you're doing and partner with them. Not everybody's gonna be open to partnerships, but the ones you wanna connect with and the ones that are gonna be helpful are going to be open to lifting others up and partnering with you. Step 4, take a small job in the field. So for me, at the time, I had jumped to another sales job and I was doing IT sales. So I was on the business side of IT recruitment. And I worked 9 to 5. I was in the fitness industry. I was working out. I was posting videos. I was sleep deprived. That's a given. And my next step was, what small opportunity can I take to start generating revenue in this area? I knew I couldn't be a personal trainer yet, but maybe there was something else I could do. What could I pivot and get myself a foot in the door? And so it turned out that there was a spin studio opening. I had never worked in fitness before. I didn't even really love indoor cycling, but I like to ride my bike outside. But I went in, I had a great attitude. I was super excited for what they were doing. And I made the team. I made our cycling team. And so I started a part-time job before work. At 5 a.m. I would teach class 3 days a week before I went to my 9 to 5, and that was me getting my foot in the door. So now not only am I gaining valuable expertise in the industry, now I'm actually making some money in the industry, and I'm figuring out what it takes to be a fitness instructor. So group fitness was my little in to get my foot in the fitness door and start to feel the waters and see, hey, is this something that really is my passion? Am I carrying this in the right direction? So 5, start to set up financial goals and realistic pay and costs. So I think one of the biggest mistakes I made, and everybody makes when they're first getting started, is undermining your pay. You're like, you literally want to take every job you get, and you want to, not price yourself too high because, maybe I'm not worth it yet because I don't have expertise. So do research. Again, ask other trainers what they're getting paid, what they got paid when they started off. Do research. Think about what you can do to streamline your finances. So this is the money talk, and this is where the shit gets real, because when you decide to leave your steady salary, I know I'm getting paid this every month, and you're moving into your passion, that passion might not be a steady income. For a lot of us, our passion means a non-traditional job. It means, doing something that might take a little bit to generate revenue. And so if you're in that boat, first off, if you're not in that boat and you can just move into a new passion and still get steady pay, then hallelujah, you are so lucky. But for me, moving into personal training meant I'm not getting a steady salary anymore. So I had to set myself up for the best success, which meant I need to streamline my bills. I had to go through everything that I was doing, including my mortgage, and figure out what I could whittle. I whittled down not getting my nails done, things that I'm used to doing, but I don't have to do. I remember whittling down a few subscriptions I didn't need. I remember not getting car washes anymore. Again, all things that you're used to doing, but do you really need them? And so you want to whittle down as much as possible, just in case you can't make money for a few months, etc. So you want to streamline your finances. You want to cut your bills down, and you want to think about, okay, once you whittle down your finances and you streamline all your costs, you have that. That's your bottom line. That's what you need to make every month in order to make this work. And so thinking about your finances, once you've whittled that down, you've got to think about, okay, how many clients or how many jobs, what does that look like to make those bills work? And I remember thinking, okay, not to buy groceries or gas, but just for my cost of living, the things I need, my mortgage, my power, my phone bill, those things, I remember needing 8 to 10 clients. So in my mind, I was like, okay, 8 to 10 clients at the pay scale that I had set apart. I think at the time it was like $45 an hour. And of course now I'm, double that, if not more. And so at the time I was like, okay, $45 an hour sounds good since I'm a rookie. I think going back, I would definitely charge a little bit more, but that is another battle, figuring out what your time is worth and what your expertise is worth, even when you're starting. So streamline your finances, think about exactly what it's gonna take when and if you leave that job, what amount of money you're gonna need set aside, and what you're gonna need to make each month. So for me, I knew I needed 8 to 10 clients, and I had maybe a few $1,000s saved up, and I knew I needed to save up to be comfortable because my bills, I knew I couldn't wait and have 6 months of savings. So I think I had 3 months of savings for my bills. So I knew that if I got off in 3 months, I could start to make this thing work. Next up, continue to interview and connect with people in the industry. Just because you're past the beginning phases, just because now you think you know what you're doing, you've got some stepping stones, doesn't mean that you need to stop bringing in value and learning. Even now, 6 years later, I still take time for coffee with people who are shaking up the industry, seeing where they're pivoting, if they're still doing the same thing, what ideas they're moving into, what technologies they're using, what new social media platforms they're on. Always continue to keep learning. And then lastly, continue to work so hard in your current job and save a little bit of money. actually save as much money as possible so that when you make your full jump, you've got a cushion. I never would recommend making a jump when you have nothing to lean on. You always want to have a few months of something that allows you to have a gap between leaving your job and making money in your new job, because it might be your first month, it might be 6 months down the road, or even a year down the road till you make enough money to make a living. So that takes me to my final step, jumping. So you've figured out what you're passionate about. You've said, yes, I'm good at this. This comes natural. I'm gonna move towards this. Okay, I'm building a brand, a website. I'm talking to people. I got my LLC. I'm interviewing people in the industry. I've submerged myself. I'm doing this. I'm volunteering. I'm doing boot camps already. I'm building a following through my volunteer work. I've got partnerships. I've got a small job in the industry. I think I'm ready. Awesome. Okay, so what's next? Both feet in. Girl, go get it. You gotta put both feet in. You've gotta come to a point where you say, okay, I've got enough money saved and I've got some side stuff going on. So for me, I had my spin, so that was now bringing in a little bit of income. So I no longer needed 8 to 10 clients to make my bills, but I needed like 3 or 4 clients on top of spin to make my bills work. So that lessened my burden a little bit. I had started every Sunday, my volunteering, I was hosting a boot camp, a Sunday stadiums class. And literally, this to tell you that you can do anything. If you give back to people, they will jump in. So I was going to run stadiums on my own. I posted about it, had some good response, and was like, okay, I'll make this public. And by the end of it, I had 20, 30 people coming, doing my Sunday Stadiums boot camp. I got interviewed by our 2 local magazines. I got featured in their pages. My business that hasn't even launched yet got featured in the pages of our local magazine, Jezebel. And Sunday Stadiums got featured as a boot camp that you want to go to. And that was all for me volunteering my time. Like, yes, it was exhausting. Yes, some weeks I wished I could be free, but this was getting me to the end result of creating a brand in fitness that people, once I jumped, were already associating my name with fitness rather than sales girl. And it was allowing me to show people, hey, I'm available as a trainer. I will be available as a trainer. You've been doing boot camps with me. Now I want to show you my other expertise. And so you make the jump when you're almost ready. You're never gonna be fully ready. There always is gonna be a little bit of fear. There's never a perfect time. You're always gonna be uncomfortable, but you have to be wise and realistic with your resources. So I say that because, again, I had a few months saved up. I had 1 foot already in fitness through a small job. And before I jumped, I remember reaching out and saying, okay guys, hey, here's Inside Out Fitness. And I had taken people on the journey with me. Here's my Inside Out Fitness brand. I'm looking to take on a few clients. And I remember telling myself, okay, if I can just get a response from 2 people, half of what I need to make this month work, I'm jumping. And I did. I got a response from 3 people. And so that was what I needed. I said, okay, you know what? I can make this work. And so I jumped. And somehow, by the grace of God, I had 10 clients, I think maybe actually 11 by month 2. And I was able to cover all of my bills and not dig into my savings. And that's how I got started. I was exhausted, I worked my butt off, but I got to create something that I loved, and I got to help people learn how to love themselves through health and wellness, and that was my passion, and that is my passion, and that makes it all worthwhile. So if you are ready to try something new, if you're ready to pursue something that ignites your heart and lights you on fire, then put away the fear, go through the plan, take the steps, take the time, and start moving towards that. If I can do it, you can do it. And so I hope that this was helpful in helping establish a little bit of structure to how I saw success in leaving my job and pursuing my passion. If you have any questions, please DM me, comment here. If this video was helpful, like the video, comment below, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to my videos. I'm gonna be sharing something every Monday on this feed. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.